different reasons, but
yes, and we're all different, which is
yeah. So anyway, thank you all for having me here today. This is something that I am so passionate about. I think that it's something that we should be doing in all places and in schools. We should learn about our bodies, really, because what happens to us going through the menopause can be a shock for a lot of women. And it's a transition period, and it can last from 4 to 8 years. Some women have menopause that lasts 10 years. And when you're in the menopause is officially starts 12 months after you had your last period.
Hold on, here's her phone.
Could I ask everybody to mute themselves, please? Just, it'll help. So that's when you're classified as being menopause. But there's a period before that, perimenopause, where all the symptoms start to manifest themselves. So we're going to look at what is the menopause, the physical, psychological, and emotional impact that has on you, the medical response to it, alternative therapies, and really the importance of having a self-care plan. I know that gets bandied about, but you really do need it when you're going through the menopause. And the good news about it is we're raising awareness, we're getting information out to people. And once women have that knowledge in front of them, they can make empowered choices about their menopause and how it's going to be. So what is it? What's happening to us? Well, as I said, the menopause is classified as 12 months after your last period, but the lead up to that is the perimenopause, and that's when you start to see changes in your periods. They probably become more irregular, or they become more painful. You have more intense PMT. You will have, the starts of the hot flushes, the sleep issues, all of that will start in and around that. All of us will get it. Some of us will have it worse than others. The majority of us 60% of us sit in the middle, mild to moderate. 20% have severe debilitating symptoms. And I'm talking about somebody who has 20 plus hot flushes a day or something like that. That can be very debilitating, just trying to even get through your day. The one thing is, it doesn't have to be awful. There is help and there is support, and it's knowing where to go and get that. So first of all, what is happening? It's our hormones. And once you know the role that gets it, this is like estrogen is the biggie when it comes to hormones and what it does. So for the brain, it increases serotonin and serotonin receptors. So that's your happiness. It increases the production and effects of endorphins, the pain and pleasure, and it maintains your body temperature. For your heart, it increases the good cholesterol, HDL. It decreases the bad. It relaxes and dilates blood vessels, so your blood flow increases, and it soaks up free radicals that damage arteries. This is why there is an increase in postmenopausal women having heart conditions, angina, heart attacks, and all of that. The other big area it plays a massive role in is our bladder, because once estrogen starts to decline in our body, the lining of the bladder and the lining of the uterine all start to thin. And that's when we get infections and UTIs. And the rate, once you go over the age of 45, UTIs increase by 75%. So it's a big issue, and it can be very debilitating. And if you have 3 or 4 bouts of that in a year, you know what it's like. It also helps the liver protect against fatty liver disease and regulates the production of cholesterol, which links in again with the heart. It protects against bone loss. Now, we all know osteoporosis can be a big issue. For our skin, it increases collagen, so that gives us our plump, youthful look, maintains skin moisture. Your skin tends to get drier as we go through the menopause and as we get older. Your skin elasticity as well, that's when you start to get the sort of saggy skin, helps wounds heal faster. For our stomach, it prevents inflammation. This is why a lot of women start to get issues around IBS and stomach upsets and possibly diverticulitis at this age, because some of us will get more inflammation in the stomach. And the other big thing it does, it reduces abdominal fat. And this is a big area for a lot of women, their weight gain going through the menopause. And why we have that weight gain, one of the reasons is as our estrogen levels lower, we also have estrogen cells in our fat cells, and they go, oops, estrogen levels are going down, we'll start producing more. So that's why you get that spur tear goes around your stomach. Your body is thinking it's helping you and protecting you by trying to increase the production of estrogen. And that's why we get the fire, one of the reasons why we get that spur tear around the middle. Progesterone does an awful lot too for us. It boosts our metabolism, again, tying into the weight stuff. And this is the biggie. It enhances cognitive control. This is your memory, your focus, your concentration. This is walking into a room and going, uh, uh, what am I here for? You know, there was a couple of years ago, we were leaving for school and work, my daughter and I'm running around going, where's the car keys? Where's the car keys? And we were late and everything was getting more and more agitated. Spent 25 minutes getting really, really, really stressed out. And I looked at my hand and I had the car keys in my hand the entire time we had been looking for them. And that's just with that whole area, this is why you need to do stuff to promote and to help your focus, your concentration, and your memory. This is the big thing it does. It helps you fall asleep and stay asleep. So once those levels start to go down, you start to have sleep problems. And the biggie it does here, it eases anxiety. This is why when you're, especially in that 40s, when you're starting to get that perimenopausal stage and your progesterone starts to go down, you have sudden onset anxiety. And when you start to think about what actually am I anxious about, you can't find anything that you're anxious about. It's just an overall generalized feeling of anxiety. And it's because progesterone levels are going down and that eases anxiety. So once they start to go down, your anxiety levels start to rise. Again, it helps prevent high blood pressure, which is linked into the heart and it dilates the blood vessels. Again, it's very important for our bladder health, for our bones, and it smooths the skin, gives us lovely smooth skin, and it promotes hair growth. So when you see that when estrogen and progesterone start to go down, and they don't go down in a nice sort of gentle gradient, it goes up and down and it plateaus and then it will go down again. So you're going through a range of emotions and feelings. Sometimes it feels like almost on a daily basis. So there's an awful lot happening. Our physical stuff is the hot flushes, night sweats. You'll find, and it starts usually in and around the mid 40s, the aching joints, waking up in the morning, knee sore, elbow sore, shoulder sore, your joints. And that's because estrogen is going, that protects our joints. And once that starts to go down, our joints start to get sore. And that's why you wake up with the aching joints and the back pain. The itchy and thinning skin, you could scratch and scratch at it and almost feels like a creepy crawly sensation. Bladder problems become a big issue. As I say, UTIs go through the roof. We get palpitations and dizziness. So a lot physically going on. The headaches, people who've maybe had or are prone to headaches may find them getting worse as they're going through the menopause. We have sleep problems. Our reduced muscle mass causes issues as well. This fatigue, that's fatigue that can hit you at about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the day. And if you've put your head on the desk, it would need a crane to lift it back up again. That type of fatigue becomes very, very prevalent as well. And it's tied into the fact that you're having sleep problems. It's tied into the fact that, if you're not having good quality sleep and you're in your third or fourth week of that causes lots of issues. It causes issues around your actual cognitive abilities. It causes issues for your emotional well-being, for your mental health. This was a weird one that I got. Started about 44, and it was just usually before my period would be coming for about 2 or 3 days a month. You couldn't come near me. I was giving off electric shocks. The dog would run and hide. It was madness. Still get them the odd time now, but it was just a regular thing that I got. And I also got the tingling extremities, like pinpricks on your fingers, and really, really could be very intense for about 10, 15 minutes, and you couldn't type or do anything with it. Gum issues, again, a lot of women go through losing teeth. Gum disease becomes more prevalent because it's linked into our hormone levels as well. Hair, we either start to have our hair texture changes, become more dry and brittle. Some people lose hair quite a bit going through this, but we also have hairs that just grow out of nowhere and almost seem to appear overnight. Um, I do a lot of training and presentation and stuff like that there, so I'm always, aware of what I look like. And every time before I go out to do a major presentation, I always do a chin check. And literally, it happened the other day, just 2 seconds before I hit going live, I went like that and swore there was like a thing of about 6 feet growing out. But of course it wasn't. But that was in my mind. And I was so aware of that wee hair sitting there that I couldn't wait to get finished in the training, to get off, to go and get a pair of tweezers and pluck it, because I was obsessed about it. So there's lots and lots of things. And these physical symptoms can be quite debilitating. And there was a report done by the TUC a couple of years ago, and it showed that around about 20% of women who were really, really suffering with this had either contemplated giving up work or reducing their hours because they just couldn't cope with the physical changes and doing their job at the same time. So this is why primarily part of my work is going out and convincing companies and businesses, you need to have a menopause policy. You need to be addressing this. You need to be providing information and support for female staff so that they can manage their symptoms and can be proactive and productive within their workplace. The psychological side can be a big, big shock for a lot of women because nobody talked about it. It's only now that we're talking about the psychological issues that come out of the menopause. And this is directly related to the hormones. You start to have mood swings, and I mean erratic, irritability, the brain fog, the walking into a room, typing, typing a report, things that you've typed hundreds and hundreds of times, and you come to a word, and it could be the word report, and you can't remember it. I've seen me sitting staring at a screen for 10, 15 minutes going, what is that? What is that word? And you can go all around the word, but you still can't find the word. It's so, so frustrating. Anger, this sudden just rage just comes over you, and it can be over something small and petty, but it just takes over. I had a friend, she was out driving, and this man came in and cut her off the traffic lights. And she said, I was so angry. She said, I started to scream and shout in the car. And she said, I was nearly out of the car and at his window before I caught myself on. And she said, I got back into the car, and she said, drove up the road for about 5 minutes, and she just sat and cried here for the last half an hour. What happened to me? She said, that man had had his window opened. I would have punched him. And she said, that's not like me. So that just overcome with anger and rage. As I said, with the LinkedIn, with the progestin and what it does, anxiety levels can go through the roof. And it can be things like sudden onset anxiety. As I said, the sudden feeling of anxiety, and you're anxious and you have no idea what it's about. Depression, falling on from low mood and all like that, there can happen. The imposter syndrome, oh, they're going to find out about me. I'm not up to my job. I'm not very good at this. Oh God, just all of these things. You combine that physical and psychological, that has an impact on our emotional well-being. So we go through period, self-esteem becomes low, our confidence. People who've went out and done presentations and spoke to big crowds and been directors and stuff like that, they lose masses of their confidence because you're going through a physical change, and sometimes you're physically changing how you look. You're different. That impacts on our confidence. It impacts on our self-esteem, feeling worthless, feeling overwhelmed by everything. And you know what happens is when we're going through the menopause, the most of us are going through it at a particular period of our lives in our 40s, 50s, when other life events are happening. And you could be looking after an elderly parent. You could have more responsibilities, kids, being at home or not being at home, there's lots of stuff happening in our lives at this particular time. And you put on top of that, you're going through the menopause and you're struggling, you feel overwhelmed. You have extremes of mood. Crying. I cry now at the drop of a hat. An ad on TV that's remotely sentimental, and I'll have a good wee weep about it for a couple of minutes. It's an overwhelming time, but there are things that we can do to get us through that. You know, when I was going through the height of my menopause, first of all, I was 44, was having sleep difficulties, went to the doctor, prescribed sleeping tablets, went back again, was feeling this anxiety that I'd never had anxiety in my life before, and it had come out of nowhere. I went and seen about that. So I was given antidepressants and I went off and seen a counsellor and went through therapy. But still all this stuff was happening and I wasn't feeling that, I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm not getting any further, I thought. So eventually, 48, 49, I got diagnosed. Yes, you're perimenopausal. This is what's happening to you. And I was like, a light bulb. It makes so much sense. But unfortunately for me at that particular time, my partner got very, very sick. And he had cancer and he unfortunately died within a year. So by the time I was 50, I was fully menopausal, rage of hormones. Partner had died. My young daughter had been diagnosed with precocious puberty. She started her periods at 9.5. So we had a whole going back and forwards to the doctor with her. My job that I was in at that particular time was funded, and the funding came to an end and lost the job. So lots of things happened. And the one thing that I thought, well, what I can do, I can't deal with the grief, I can't deal with the job. You know, they're all things outside that I have no control over, but I can sort out this menopause thing that's happening to me. And then that hopefully will help me deal with all the other stuff. So, how do we manage this? Well, for the first thing is, the medical response is HRT, and there have been so many advances in this area. And HRT is brilliant because you are replacing estrogen and progesterone to your body. So it's not, it's doing you good to help you manage your menopausal symptoms, but it's also for that long-term health implication. Now, not everybody can take HRT, and some people don't want to take it for personal reasons. But if you can take it and you want to take it, it can be very, very good. And it's in tablet form, patches, gels, creams, implants, coils, all sorts of ways of actually using the HRT. And even if and it can be used topically as well. So one of the big issues for a lot of women is vaginal dryness at this particular time. And you can actually just get the gel and just use that topically when you need it. So you don't actually have to go on a full treatment of HRT. So there's different things that you can do with the HRT. They also can prescribe blood pressure medication. And this helps women, especially women who have lots of hot flushes or night sweats. They would be use anticonvulsant stuff that's used for epileptics because it runs on the same vascular motor system. So there's things around that, and of course antidepressants. But there's lots and lots that the doctors can do. Unfortunately, the problem is our GPs here, on average, have maybe had 2 hours menopause training in their initial degree, and that could have been many years ago. So my first thing I say to women is when you're going to the GP, ask at your surgery, is there anybody there who has taken a special interest in the menopause? And that could be even one of the practice nurses. Go and speak to them because they will have done the latest training on that. If that's not an option, when you get to the doctor, ask to be referred to the NHS Menopause Clinic, which is based at the Mater Hospital. And they have nutritionists, doctors, psychologists, nurses, all there. You can go in, get your diagnosis, get a treatment plan, talk to people and find out what you can do to help and support yourself. It's a fantastic service, and we have been working with them, but due to COVID, we haven't been able to do what we wanted to do this year, but hopefully things are looking a bit better, and we will be getting some webinars and specials from them this year looking at specifically HRT and the medical response. Um, so as I said, you can take it in any way. It really does help alleviate the symptoms, but it's also good for thinking about your long-term health as well. Now, when you go to the doctor, be prepared, research your options. The handout that I sent to Patricia this morning has a symptom tracker list in it. And I would suggest that before you go and see anybody, go through that list and go, right, I'm getting this. So say we take hot flushes as an example. Think about, well, when do I get them? How often do I get them? Is there maybe something I'm doing beforehand that's exasperating the actual hot flush? So we know that drinking alcohol, drinking tea and coffee, and eating spicy food will actually make your hot flush worse. So it's thinking about all the symptoms that there are, and there's 35 symptoms that are recognized by WHO and the British Medical Association and all American Medical Association. And it's based on those that I have the symptom tracker list set up. So it's looking at night sweats, it's looking at low mood. When do I get low mood? Am I getting it at a particular time? Thinking about what the symptoms are you're getting, when you're getting them, how often you're getting them, because that's going to give the doctor, because taking blood tests aren't really terribly accurate, because I could be perfect levels this morning of my hormones, and I could go this afternoon and I could get a different blood test, and again it could be different tomorrow morning. So while they do blood tests and all like that there, it's actually the symptoms, how often you're having them, when you're having them. The more information you can provide about that is really going to help with them getting the diagnosis right, and also understanding where you are in your menopause, because that will actually, depend on what dosage you get of estrogen, where you are in your menopause journey. Um, if you have access to EAP through your work, that's your employee assistance programs, you could go and see a specialist, because the doctors who run the clinic at the Mater have a private clinic in Hollywood. And if you have access to that through your EAP, I would suggest you go and get it, because there is at the moment probably about a 6 to 9 month waiting list for the Mater. And also, you're possibly not going to get this right on the first time, especially with HRT. It may take 2 attempts. It may be changing from tablet to patch or vice versa, because it is how you actually take it. And it's dependent on the dosage that you have and that. So you mightn't get it right the first time. And this is really important. It's your body. You will know it best. So listen to it and really sort of, go, well, actually, and think about, if you do go down the HRT, go for your regular checkups. Tell, yes, I'm still doing all right. No, I'm maybe having this, because it's about changing the dosage to make sure that you get the best out of it, is going to make sure that you get the best from doing HRT. So alternative therapies, it's mostly your herbal stuff. There's the likes of black cohosh, red clover, ginseng. Sage is very, very good for hot flushes, and you can take it in a tablet form or tea. And I would suggest you go to a good quality herbalist shop and speak to somebody in there who's qualified to talk to about the different types of things you can take. Evening primrose oil is a good all-rounder, and we're still talking about it 30 odd years later. Still a good one to be taken, because vitamin E is very, very important while we're going through the menopause. It does lots of stuff work for us. There is natural hormone products, and that I'm talking about the likes of yam. Yam has a component in it that is very similar to progesterone, and in some cases they use that extract in HRT, but in the natural hormone products they actually make a topical cream, and you can get it from a good likes of a health food shop would have access to that, and you just apply it usually around the neck and upper chest area, and that has been, some women have found that useful. Soy products are the big, these two things, phytoestrogens, I can say that right, and natural soy products are the big news coming through in the last 5-10 years. And soy is brilliant. Um, when we're looking at, studies across the world of how women in different areas, different genetic makeups, Southeast Asian women have the shortest menopause with the less symptoms than anywhere else in the world. And they put it down to three things primarily: diet. Their diet is predominantly soy, um, green leaf vegetables, basically all these things that are mentioned down here in the phytoestrogen bit, and also oily fish. They would eat a lot more fish than they would do red meat. Red meat's very, very low to nothing, and a bit of poultry, but they're predominantly vegetarian, all of this stuff, soy products and fish. Also, their lifestyle, they would predominantly be meditative practices like Tai Chi, yoga, that type of thing that they would do. So again, that's working on their emotional well-being side. And then again, it's the culture. The culture there is they actually revere women going through the menopause. This is looked upon as a rite of passage, and you're going through this journey to become a wise person. So it's the attitude of the women, towards their menopause, and also the society attitude towards women going through their menopause. So that was the three things that come out of that. Bioidentical hormones, again, is a new area, but these phytoestrogen ones is really, really, there's been a lot of promising studies coming out. And basically what it is these are plants that have similar structures to estrogen in them. So while they're quite weak, what they do is they attach on to the estrogen cells and receptors in our body, and it's taken that over a long period of time, builds up your estrogen levels. So it's cereals, it's seeds, it's pulses, it's vegetables, it's your soya, linseeds, red clover are the richest sources of it, and lentils are a brilliant source of it as well. And you can also get this into tablet form and stuff like that there, but it's really looking at increasing your diet with these foods in it, and also looking at maybe taking supplements and alternatives as well, because we really need to be looking at getting as much B vitamin complex into us, magnesium, zinc, calcium, and vitamin D. And if you can get one that has all of those together, or as much of that together, try and take that. But diet, diet, diet. I know you're all going, "Ugh." This will have the biggest impact on you. And we're talking about, we're talking at plate size. So we're looking at 20 centimeter plate size, no more than that. Half of that is veg, and I'm talking about above the ground veg. A quarter of that is your carbohydrates, and that can be below the ground stuff like potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, and that type of stuff, beetroot as well. And 25% is protein. And it's eaten smaller, but say maybe 4, 5 over the day, um, because that will really help with your blood sugar levels, which will help with the fatigue, which will help with your energy levels, and it will also help with your emotional and your mental well-being. Um, the sad news is that before we go through the menopause, and I'm talking about perimenopause at this stage as well, we have the ability, when we take in 1,000 calories, to metabolize 700 of those. When we start the menopause, because of our hormone levels and all of that, that flips on its head, and we're only able to metabolize 300 of the 700 we're taking in. So it's really important to cut out things that have hidden sugars in them, and really look at having a more natural based food diet, because that will help you the most, because it's about blood sugar levels, it's about replacing the minerals, about replacing the vitamins and stuff like that that we're losing, to help us look after our long-term health. Yoga and Pilates are by far the best because you're building your core strength. Because one of the big things we go through is loss of bone density, and it's not a fall from a big height that gives us our breaks as we get older. It's tripping over a handbag and going down from a short fall is going to give us fractures. So it's yoga and Pilates help very much with that core strength, which helps with your balance, which will help overall. And it also builds and your muscles and your muscle mass, it rebuilds that. So you're looking for yogas and Pilates and a couple of walks to get the cardio going or something like that to keep this all going, because it's about maintaining our health and looking for our long-term health. The psychological side of it, as I said, it does have a big impact. And one of the things that is very, very useful, I have found, and really, really good, is mindfulness, because mindfulness works in 4 parts of our brain. It works on our cognitive control areas, so your focus, concentration, memory. It builds and increases those areas. So we actually create more gray matter. So that's good for us going through the menopause. But the biggie it does, it decreases the amygdala, and that's our stress receptor that holds our fight and flight response. So it makes it smaller. So mindfulness is one of those ones that covers an awful lot. There's also EFT, emotional freedom technique, or tapping, and that's very good to deal with anxiety and stress in the moment. I do it all the time. You'll see me if I'm sitting in a traffic jam and I'm getting stressed, I'll be doing my tapping to de-stress myself, to help with my anxiety, to help with my focus, to help with my motivation, all of those things. We also do a whole separate one on the psychological impact, and we take you through CBT techniques, mindfulness, and the tapping, and show you how to put that together and how to actually sort of manage your mental health and your well-being as you're going through this, because it is a difficult time. But I found personally what helped me the most was understand, yes, this is the menopause and this is what happens and this is why it's happening, and here's things you can do to alleviate that. And that's the greatest thing, is to actually sort of go, yes, I'm going through this, but there actually is something I can do about this. And I like to think that as estrogen decreases, our ability to say no increases, and we realize that it's a complete sentence, because sometimes it's about being able to say no and walking away and feeling guilt-free about it because it's not suitable for me now, or I don't want to do it, or I'm not at that place anymore. And it's giving you a great bit of freedom. I am the light at the end of the tunnel. I'm now 56. I've been through it, and life is okay. Life's great, actually. I just want to get out of this back bedroom and get back to the real world. Um, so there's lots and lots of information and support out there. There's a menopause clinic. They're brilliant. They have a full range of people up there. As I said, everything from nutritionists to doctors to psychologists. Menopause Matters is a great website. It's practical and informative. Again, the Menopause Cafe is the same. We will be launching a series of webinars, hopefully in the next couple of months, with the Matter Clinic. And I'm also going to be introducing Menopause Champions training, which is going to be training people up in the workplace to be a menopause champion. So they'll be able to provide advice, support, signpost you to relevant stuff, organize, bring in speakers and stuff like that there. So that's ideally what we're looking to do. So do I have any questions? I see I have some in the box here. Right, okay. Who's got questions for me? Or we're all going silent?
Can I ask a question? It's Shirley here.
Yes.
Does if you're going down the HRT route, does the combination of estrogen, progesterone, does that depend on what symptoms you have? You know, should your GP be, rather than a standard product, should it be tailored if you've got certain symptoms that are more likely to be caused by a lack of progesterone? Rather
Mo-
than a lack of estrogen, should
yeah,
your, or do you need to be going to a specialist clinic to get that level of service?
I would be going to a specialist clinic because, as I said, most GPs did 2 hours as part of their medical degree, and that could have been 20 odd years ago,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I had a woman came to me the other day and she said she had had a medical menopause, or she'd had started her menopause at the age of 38, and she came to me and she says, I'm feeling really bad. And I says, well, blah, blah, asked her a few questions. She'd been on the same prescription of HRT for 15 years. And I went, no, 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 no. I says, look, go back and say, no, you need to be reassessed. I says, you shouldn't be kept on the same one. I says, that should have been changed a number of years ago. I says, because you have changed. You're at a different stage. I said, that was whenever you were 38. It has no relevant now that you're 51. So it's things like that. You need to be speaking to somebody who actually understands the menopause, who can, you know, talk to you and ask you specific questions, because it just could be changing the levels of the estrogen you're on, or it could even be just giving it to you in a different form will make a difference. You
Yeah,
know,
thank you. Yeah. Well, and I suppose I need to begin that process by talking to the GP, because I haven't spoken to anybody yet, because it's all very recent. But
yeah.
I think at my age, it's very likely to be the cause.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? Go and have a good, and even say, can I be referred on to the menopause clinic? Because, as I said, they have a range of people there, and they really are very, very good. I can't just praise them high enough.
Okay, that
And
sounds.
somebody had in the box there about maca powder. Yes, maca powder is fabulous. Maca powder is a South American root, and it is B vitamin 12 and 6, magnesium, zinc, boron in it. I think there might be boron in it. And there's one other one I can't remember. But for an all-rounder, it's brilliant. And I use it every morning. I put a spoonful in a smoothie and drink it down. I even add it into when I'm making stews or soups, just a spoonful's thrown into it. Little do the best. It's organic and it's only 4.99 or 5.99 a packet. You could be paying 15, 20 quid online for it, but the one from Lidl is brilliant and it's organic. And it's very, very, it's a good all-rounder for the menopause. But for some people, I would advise you to actually go and talk to somebody in a health food shop who's got the knowledge for that to actually take you through that. But there's I didn't go down HRT. I went down the alternative route and did my diet and did all of that. That's the route I went down. But I had friends who are on HRT and they're loving it. And I know women in their 70s on HRT and they're loving it. So I mean, there's no age barrier for HRT, and I have the option if things aren't going great, I can go on HRT at any time in the future if I want to. So it's always there as an option, but I went down the alternative route because that was just who I am. And I found it the big thing for me was the diet, was the lifestyle, and I incorporate the likes of maca and different herbs into that as well.
Stephanie, could I ask you
Yes.
on that? Um, I'm the youngest of 7 sisters, and I've always heard the horror stories and the risks about HRT and things like that. So where are we now with the understanding of, what are the risks and how much attention should you give that,
There've been amazing differences in from when that original study was done in the early 2000s. In fact, there's been a lot of I don't know how to say it, controversy about that particular study, that it wasn't totally representative.
Yeah.
So HRT is very, very safe, but if you have a history in your family of breast cancer, then they would say no.
Okay.
They would
I don't
definitely
have
say
that.
no. Because it is to do with the estrogen receptors in the breast and stuff like that. There means that you're more likely to possibly develop breast cancer if you were to go on HRT, because it's all to do with the receptors and
Okay,
quite
that's okay.
complicated.
Makes
But
sense.
they have there's, as I said, but even with that, if you, for some people who have vaginal dryness, and it can be a really, really, really very difficult situation, even with
Yeah.
that, you're only taking the HRT topically. So you're only applying
Right.
that gel when you need it. So
Okay.
there's different, you don't have to be taking HRT in the patch form.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be taking
That's
it in
good. And that was my
kind of,
question, which
and that,
somebody already asked. Could
yeah,
I also ask
yes,
you about soy? I would be vegetarian and
yeah,
follow, sometimes low carbs, mostly Mediterranean diet.
yeah.
And I'm aware of all the things that you said. What about the risks of soy and soya products,
You're
especially
looking,
if they're GM made?
you're looking for
No.
fermented soy.
Okay. Is that tofu?
Yes, or
Okay.
tempeh it's a very good one. You might have to go to one of the Chinese supermarkets to get the particular
Yeah,
fermented ones.
I love that.
But they're very, very good, and that's what they would eat in Southeast Asia, is fermented soya, not
Okay.
the.
Is Tempa a brand or
No,
is that a type?
it's a type.
Okay.
It's soya from Indonesia or somewhere like
Okay.
that.
That's great. I didn't know that. And one
Yeah,
last thing was,
yeah.
have you come across or do you know that fennel can be an estrogen stimulator
Yes.
or helps to produce estrogen? Is
Yeah,
that right?
that's
Yeah.
one of those photoestrogens. I can really say that word. That I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like the
Brilliant.
likes of your red clover and your soy, your linseeds would have very high concentrations of it. So
Yeah.
if there's one thing you do, is
hmm
even in your diet, if you introduce more nuts and seeds into your
Yeah.
diet from now, that will
hmm
have a big impact, because there's so much in nuts and seeds.
Yeah.
You're,
hmm
they do, like sesame seed, dear God, it's a wee wonder.
Yeah, and they're delicious, toasted, and just go on
Yes.
top of your salad. I
Yeah.
love them.
So
Yeah. Sorry, there was one last thing, and I forget now what it was. Oh yes, I'm sorry. I don't want to take up too much time. Other people might have questions. I'm interested in the menopause champion training that you mentioned. I'm
yeah.
actually self-employed. I do reflexology, and I also facilitate courses for parents and grandparents. So I would be really interested in the menopause champion. I'm already excited. I'm setting up a menopause cafe.
Well,
So could you email
absolutely.
me or?
Yeah, yes,
Mm,
I'm literally after we've
hmm
finished here now, I'm going to another meeting and we're talking
hmm
about that and when I'm going to do that. So I'm planning to start maybe delivering that summertime, depending
Okay,
on my schedule. I'm hoping
sure.
for summertime, but possibly September. And I'm also going to be doing a big event on International Menopause Day in October.
Okay.
And hopefully, I'm talking to people about funding next week for that. But what I envisage is having people who do all the health food stuff and alternatives to be there. I want the
Yeah.
HRT people to be there. I'm going to have speakers. I'm going to have alternative therapies for people hopefully to try out and do different things around.
Wonderful. I'll be a volunteer.
So
If
that's what
there's anything I can do to help you with that,
yes,
I'd
that's
love
that's
to.
what I'm hoping for. And as I said, hopefully if I get the money I need for it, we'll be going ahead with that for October. But it's just really to get as much information and as much out there to women to say, here's different, try this and see if that works for you.
hmm
Try a bit of acupuncture, because acupuncture can actually be very, if you're having lots of stuff around your hot flushes and night sweats, that's based on your vascular motor system. Actually getting acupuncture for menopause, and you have to go
hmm
to a person who's doing that, that will actually help
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah. hmm
So there's different things you can try for different, whatever the symptom is.
Mhm.
But as I said, there's lots of stuff the girl who does the nutrition stuff for me is brilliant. She's also a health food person as well, so she does all the alternative stuff.
Okay.
But she like recommends, if you're having difficulty sleeping, 400 milligrams of magnesium an hour before bed, because magnesium is nature's natural relaxant,
Okay. Yeah.
and that should help you with your sleep. It's also about having a good sleep regime at night
Yeah.
time. You know, no TVs, no nothing in the bedroom. Really
Mm.
have that as, I used to get night sweats and I would have woken up twice a night and it would have
Mm.
done everything off, everything off. So it's my bedroom then. My daughter used to go, God, your room's freezing, because there was no heating on. The window was
Mm.
opened all year round, and I had the thinnest duvet I had got from Marks and Spencer's, which was a two-tog, and that was what was on my bed, and a fan.
Yeah.
My
Oh
bedroom.
God.
It was like an
Yeah.
ice box, She'd come down with her, all in one on her socks and maybe a scarf to come in and lie down the bed beside me. I'm going, it's not that bad. Just going, it is.
And are you over that now? Are
I
you
am.
not?
I'm
You
over.
don't suffer that as much?
No,
Yeah.
I don't have that. Thank God I don't. And I still wake up to go to the toilet in the middle of the night.
I was going to say I don't have the night sweats, but I'd be up 2 or 3 times a night. But I
Yes.
always have done, because I drink lots of water and I kind of, I don't
I'm
mind it. It's a
trying
bit of a rhythm I have.
Yeah, I'm trying to take as much water as I can in the morning.
Mm.
So that I'm not, but I definitely have to get up at least once a night to go to the toilet. And that's another thing. The sudden need to urinate is a big, big issue. I mean,
Mhm.
it's almost psychological. Whenever I was working and I would get to the top of my lane, by the time I got to my door, it was out of my way. And I would run
Yeah.
up the stairs to get to the toilet, because honestly, it's just awful. And if I go anywhere new, the first thing I do is, where are the toilets? I have to
Yeah,
clock
me
where they
too.
are,
I
because
say I'm like a puppy dog. When I arrive somewhere, I pee, and before I leave, I pee again.
yes, I have to know where the toilet is, because I will need that toilet at some stage, and I will need it very, very quickly. So I need to know the quickest route to the toilet, and that's one of the things we're left with. And I'm also left with the fact that I can't sleep past 6:30 in the morning now. Just can't.
I'm finding that at the moment. But I get
Yeah.
up and open the window and listen
Yeah.
to the dawn chorus. It's amazing at the minute. It's really,
Yeah.
really loud and lovely.
Yeah, but I mean, that's just what I've been left with from the menopause. I can't sleep past, half
Yeah.
6 in the morning. I'm up. And
Would you
that's
nap then later on during
oh
the
God,
day?
yes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
would have, but, and it's even on holiday, I can't get myself out of it either. I'm up. And
The
everybody
morning's
else,
a lovely time. It's the
I
best
know,
time
but
of
when you're on
day.
holiday and everybody else is sort of lying around and you've been up for about 2 or 3 hours
Yeah.
on your own. But that's just what I've been left with. And, out of everything, I can cope with getting up at 6:30.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world.
Sure. Yeah.
So, any other questions there from anybody? Well, as I said, hopefully, this was just an overview. I mean, as I said, the other stuff we do is more in depth to like the diet and your fitness and how you actually go about doing that, or the psychological impact of it and how you manage your mental health as you're going through this. So they're more practical based ones. And then the other stuff I do is directly to the likes of business. I go in and convince the CEO and the senior management team that they need to have this in their place, and then
I wonder, is it in the civil service? I used to work in the civil service.
I have done it for the executive office, and I've done it for the passport office, and I'm in talks with the Department of Communities or something next week. No, it's there. We're definitely getting. I mean, now I have. Personally, we've done about 40 menopause policies in the last year. And this week alone, I have delivered training to, because it's been International Women's Week and everybody's wanted it, there's been training delivered to over 400 women this week.
Wonderful.
So it is getting out there.
I see there's lots of there's comments and questions in the chat. Stephanie, how do I keep in touch with you? Can I send you an email?
Yes,
You
my
can call
email.
on me to volunteer for help with your
Yes.
menopause day.
My email is stephanie.reid at, now this is the difficult, BITCNI, and you have to be very careful when you're typing that out.
BITCNI.
Yes, because
Okay.
sometimes the servers can think that's bitch and don't let it through.
I never corrected it. I was thinking Bitcoin.
.org.uk.
In the email that we sent last night and this morning, Stephanie is copied on it, so her email address appears there. You can just copy and paste.
Brilliant.
Thank you. I did read this sheet, but I didn't print it out. We'll print it out now.
Yeah. And as I said, I've sent through a wee handout there around the, just covering very, very basics, but it gives you an idea about different organisations and business in the community. We're part of the UK organisation. We've set up a menopause cafe, and we meet every 6 weeks, and there's about 30-40 of us on it, and we have a chat about what our issues are, and then one of us, like I did tapping at the last one, and a girl's going to do something around diet at the next one, and we just have a wee chit chat, yap and complain about our conditions and our problems. I'm having a bad week, I can't sleep.
Is that something anyone can join?
No, I'm encouraging each workplace to set up menopause cafes in the workplace.
Their own, okay.
So women can actually get together and chat about their stuff, and then be able to, well, I've tried this, if you tried that, and also have the opportunity to bring in, outside speakers and stuff like that there as well, so they can have a bit of information.
I'm thinking it could be something I could arrange within my reflexology association.
Absolutely.
I don't think we have one. And do you know, is there an equivalent in the Republic of Ireland of either the menopause? You mentioned the specialist at Beaumont, or
I don't know what they have down south.
I'll research that myself.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to answer that. But what we have here, while not great, it's getting there. It's just getting the information out to women. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much. It's been wonderful, very informative and empowering and hopeful.
Yes, absolutely. We're all going to go through this, and I really think that, the more I've learned, I want the ones coming behind us not to go through a bad time.
Yeah.
Because there's no need for you to be going through a bad time.
Exactly. You mentioned something about the amygdala reducing. Was that from mindfulness? My daughter was asking me something at the time, or was that something to do with menopause effects?
No, that's to do with when you practice mindfulness. They have done studies about that your frontal lobe area increases. That's your grey matter, your focus and your concentration, but it decreases the amygdala, and that's the big thing, because that's your anxiety, that's your cortisol, your adrenaline, and they do so much damage to you. So if you can reduce that in size, then that helps you be calmer and be more rational, because that's one of the things I found when I was going through that, just hormone central, was rationality went out the window.
Yeah.
And then you would sort of sit with yourself later on and go, why did you say that? Why did you behave like that? God, everybody thinks you're really stupid now. And then you'd beat yourself up, and then you'd suffer more, and you're thinking, if I can eliminate that or reduce that, then I'll do it.
Yeah, for sure. It's like that train wreck in slow motion that you really can't stop. It's just there and you're aware, but it just keeps moving.
Yeah.
Terrible locomotive.
Yeah.
Stephanie, I can't thank you enough for your time and your effort in putting this together for all of us. And thanks to everybody for joining us today. This has been a godsend. It's that all important conversation that people fear to have. And I know myself, I'm even afraid to type menopause in my Google search, because the ads that I'm going to start getting, I'm a little afraid of. But needless to say, I think, to recap, healthy lifestyle is always a smart choice, and that there are services Thank you very much.
Yeah.
If anybody has any further questions or comments, certainly feel free to email us at Women in Enterprise. And thank you again.
And it'll take this possibly today, but we'll have this copy of this recording for you by Monday. All right.
Thank you. It'll probably take us a little bit longer to actually get it back on the website, but by the end of next week, it's certainly the following week, it should be on there. So everybody can access it. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you so very much. Lovely to meet you all.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.